Stephen A. Smith, well, initially we reported on him criticizing former First Lady Michelle Obama. He has criticized former VP Kamala Harris. He has now told Representative Jasmine Crockett that she needs to learn how to work with that man in the White House. Here it is.
How Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself. I'm like, is that going to help your district in Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? How much work goes into that? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying, that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him since the Republicans have the Senate and the House. But maybe if I'm willing to work with this man, I might get something out of it for my constituency. Because like Joe Manchin said, he's there to represent, or was there for 15 years to represent, the people of West Virginia. She's supposed to be there to represent the people of Texas.
She is. Her constituents, who personify a like belief. They don't think like you, thank God, Stephen A. But it is interesting, isn't it, dear brother, that you have moralized against Representative Crockett, who claps back at MAGA at times, properly contextualizes Trump, still does her job. People can do more than one thing, Stephen A. She works from an ethical point of view and also takes the time to do interviews and be accessible to the people. You know a little bit about media. You don't just pop up in front of a camera and start talking now, do you? You do prepare, I assume. You see, all of this is part of the work, dear brother. Now, I see that you have a lot of emotion about her treating Trump a particular way to get things done. She needs to take a different approach, I assume, in your opinion. Now, what about your anger when Trump did this?
I look at the Democrats, they're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said, she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding.
But she's a lowlife. And she's a very low IQ person and a lowlife. And I don't imagine the Democrats are going to have a person like that running their party. If they do, and they'll never win an election again. It would be very hard. But I can't imagine she's going to last long.
Did that make you angry about how he needs to work with her? You know, the Constitution actually provides that the president has to work with Congress. You see, Congress is a co-equal branch of the government. As a matter of fact, congressional members can be there in perpetuity. They can be there until they die. A president is term limited, which once again is why the Constitution is built upon the principle of co-equal, brother. Co-equal, brother. According to The Root, on a recent episode of Smith's podcast, quote, straight shooter with Stephen A. He called out Democrats, including Crockett by name, for sympathizing with black voters in order to paint Republicans as the bad guys. Well, if it's a bad policy, the shoe fits. Quote, you have a Democratic Party that knew they were getting our vote, would engage in demagoguery, kind of like what you do, dear brother. And I agree with you on the company of the party, but you're calling out individuals who stand up for policy. Scare the living hell out of us about what existed on the right hand, and as a result, they get our vote, he said. And all they had to do to get it was to give us lip service about negative stuff about the other side. In a proper contextualization, I have said the same thing about the company known as the Democratic Party. That's why I encourage you, do not be loyal to a Democratic Party. That is a company. They have an agenda. Typically, it will not align with yours. You elect people. Make sure that person does not have an allegiance to any company beyond you, even if that company may be called the Democratic Party. On that, we agree with. Stephen A. is when the presentation of the plantation as better than the other is presented. That's when I have a challenge with the narrative. Somehow that Republicans have the answers for Black people. They do not. Unemployment skyrocketing in the Black community. Donald Trump has laid off or fired more Black people than anybody in the history of the United States of America, i.e. the federal government, the largest employer of Black folk in the United States. Black women are now losing jobs at a rate higher than any other demographic, even though they happen to be the fastest growing, most educated demographic in the United States of America. These are Black statistics that, you're right, are coming under a Republican-controlled regime. That's policy. And if you are in the minority class as it relates to power structure in DC, you have to take the message to the people who are the real access to power for government representation because of voting. All right, so for Smith, the main issues for Black people have nothing to do with racism. Go back to Smith picture again. Have nothing to do with racism. It's easy to say when you think racism is a social thing that you deal with while collecting a few $1 million a year to talk on a microphone. But see, racism goes so much deeper than that, Stephen A. As a matter of fact, it goes so deep, you don't even know how you're complicit in the system. It's called an ism. It's an ism because it is a system that has created an ecosystem of causes and effects that go beyond simple bigotry or words. It becomes institutional. Quote, what it's really about is us not strategizing, playing checkers instead of chess, okay? Letting our emotions instead of facts lead the way and letting that guide us to express ourselves in ways that serve to alienate the very people who can help us. According to the radio personality, politicians like Crockett cannot help Black people like they've promised. Quote, however, Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself, I'm like, quote, is that going to help your district in Texas? Wow. Is Donald Trump helping that district in Texas? Does he care about helping that district in Texas? And as a matter of fact, the people who voted her in, well, they like her very well, Stephen A. I would assume you believe in the power of self-governance or at least self-determination to pick your own leaders. Black folk online are not having it. Here's the response to Stephen A. Many Black folk reacted to his remarks, calling him out for trying to appease MAGA. On X, Charlie's mommy wrote, Smith is a B word per usual. She continued, quote, he would never be with his people, so he or we should stop expecting him to not be a POS. User Funky Weezy tweeted, bruh, stick to sports and leave that woman alone for having gonads you never had. You a joke, end quote. Other folks like at Dr. Pratt defended Crockett saying, quote, lies. At Jasmine for us is known for her work ethic. Just, he is known for his loudness and apologies. What's the countdown? All right. I have a little wager going, how long it's going to take for Stephen A. to apologize for his latest comments. All right, Sharon. He's trying to get somebody's attention here. So he got mine. I don't know if he got Crockett, but he got mine.
Then you had to educate him over like simple stuff. I want your intelligence and powers used for a better purpose, a bigger purpose. This is silly. Kids are off limits. Stephen A. has a daughter. I have a daughter. And I would just like to say, again, kids are off limit. But can you imagine if someone called my daughter his daughter? stupid or lazy, or his sister, his mom. Last time I checked, his mom was black too. I don't understand. Doc, I'm going to leave it at this. Do you believe me that I can pop off? I can have a big mouth. I can say profound things. I could probably be making his money and have a private jet. There's just certain things I'm not willing to say.
That's right. That's right.
Do you believe me, Doc?
Oh, yeah, we know it. And that's the reason
Come on,
you
Steve.
stay true to yourself and to thyself remain true.
I gotta
And
be
it's
able
hard to understand somebody who doesn't do that, especially in an everyday context. So, dear brother, whatever you're doing, I support you in the spirit of non-judgment. But damn, brother, leave this sister alone.